think we're about ready.
I was just waiting for. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We're in the middle of a heat wave, so we should have a great meeting this morning. We'll call the meeting to order and take the roll, please.
Okay, Mayor Darcy,
Here.
Councilman Cardenas.
Here.
Ms. Bottomley. Here. Mr. Doris, let me know he would be absent. Ms. Grunberg.
Here.
Ms. Howard, let me know she would be absent. Mr. Martin also is not here. He let me know he'd be absent. Mr. O'Hara.
Here.
Mr. Parker also let me know he would be absent. Mr. Pryor also let me know he was likely to be absent. Mr. Randich is also absent. He's in Florida. He let me know he was not going to be here. Mr. Rico.
Here.
Dr. Rouse.
Here. Yay.
Ms. Viveros.
Here.
Ms. Walker.
Here.
Mr. Studich.
Here.
Chairman Rolfe.
Here.
Here. So we still have quorum.
Yay.
Which I want to. Yep, okay. Great. We also are joined today by Leslie Roth and Prayag Bagda. You hear us?
Yes. We can hear you now. Okay.
All right, great. There are consultants again for the comprehensive plan. Thanks for joining us. So let's get right to it.
We need to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Motion made. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, right.
Opposed?
Yep. We have,
Motion carries.
well, we usually do roll for these. Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Okay, we got Councilman Cardenas.
Aye. Thanks.
Ms. Bottomley.
Aye.
Mr. Doris is absent. Ms. Gruenberg.
Aye.
Mr. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Rico.
Yes.
Dr. Rouse.
Yes.
Ms. Viveros.
Aye.
Ms. Walker.
Aye.
Mr. Studich.
Aye.
Chairman Rolfe.
Aye.
All right. Next on the agenda is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding agenda items and are allowed a maximum of 4 minutes. Don't see anyone present today, so we will move on to old business, which we have nothing listed, and then that brings us to new business. And the first agenda item would be status update of the topic area workshops. I do want to draw your attention to a handout with blue lines. So this is just a really brief summary of the topic area workshops that were conducted here in this very City Hall Council chambers in December and January of 2026. The topic areas are noted on this handout, and the attendance as well as what was explored, and then the format. We had in total over an estimated 230 attendees, which we were quite pleased with. Some workshops had 40 to 50 people at, and others had 15. So it did vary by night. As you know, we had some very cold nights here, even continuing to the present. So that may not have affected attendance, although I mean, for those of you who are here for the infrastructure workshop, we had a monsoon that night and we had a really high number of attendees. So yeah, that was quite the night leaving here. Of the 230 people who came to workshops, there was one person who came to every single one of them. He offered a lot of good input. We're happy for his attendance. And then we did have several people who came to at least one. And then looking around the room here, I mean, a lot of you came to at least one, if not two or three. Jim came to every single one of them. Thank you, Chair. At this time, we've given the information collected from the workshops to our consultant team, which for those who attended the workshops, we collected information mostly through an online platform called Mentimeter, which allowed us to really gather information about each of these subtopic areas within the overall topic area. Allowed people to contribute information anonymously, and enabled us to kind of keep information gathering, input gathering moving during those workshops. It was a way for us not to get bogged down with potentially one person dominating a conversation. So we really did want to hear from everyone who was at these workshops. So I don't know, does anyone have anything they will want to contribute, whether it's feedback or lessons learned about the workshops at this time? Before I'm going to bring up the superintendents in a second.
Well, I thought the attendance numbers were pretty good. A couple were a little light, but 3 or 4 of them were 40 plus.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty good. And I thought the comments that were posted on the screen, if you read them while you were attending, you could see some pretty thoughtful ideas and concepts for us to take into consideration. And I think the idea around doing these, you always have a question of what time is the best time of the day. There is no good time. You just have to set it and do it, because people can come when they can, and they're not going to come whatever time it might be if they're not interested. But I thought generally those that attended were very engaged in the topic that they attended. And I thought, what was the highest number of attendees?
Culture.
Yeah, arts and culture.
Culture, which I found quite interesting. But it's also important because that was a very important part of the response that we had on surveys about how important our history and our heritage is and how we need to retain that going forward. So I probably said enough. Anybody else that attended one have any comments?
I think I'll comment on the arts and culture as well. I think the conversations obviously shows a lot of people's pride in their neighborhoods, right, and our legacy neighborhoods. And I think, like you said, it's been a big topic of our comprehensive plan has been that. So just to see the attendance being one of our larger attended ones the conversation was a lot of good conversation around the types of festivals or events people are looking for, activities surrounding their neighborhoods, or at least being included as part of this whole plan. So that was a lot of good feedback that day.
I was glad to learn what a piggery is at the last meeting, so thanks.
Okay, yeah.
Would you like to share with the class?
It's just pig farm. It was in the,
Piggery.
apparently it's in the zoning code, so
Yeah.
it was words to take out, and one of them was piggery.
An official insult.
Yeah, we had just an activity where we asked people to identify what they would consider to be the most outdated terms in our zoning code as just something fun to.
Piggery.
Yeah, piggery was one of the winners.
Haberdashery.
Piggery.
Haberdashery was a good one too.
I demand a variance.
We added like a question in our session, and so we just wanting to find out like where people receive their information. So people really want newsletters back, and or like a community board where they can come in and know specifically where in the community or different places in the community where they can see all the upcoming events and notices for meetings and such. And so that was good feedback that we got that I don't think was recorded in Mentimeter, but
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
And so the information or comments collected in each of these using our phone and Mentimeter, how will those be captured, and when might we see kind of a broad brush to them? I wouldn't expect to see each comment, but is there some general topic areas that will be highlighted from each of these sessions?
Yes, so internally, we have a draft prepared that we'll do that for you, and we can get that out to the committee, yes.
Great, great. Anybody else have any comments or thoughts?
I would like to, so yes, moving on from then this, but we did have a superintendent's roundtable, as we termed it, which was on January 9th. And that was hosted at Joliet Township High School's Administration Building, out on Caterpillar Road, or Drive. Dr. Rouse, I don't know if you want to give some comments. She was the host, the co-host of that, and Mayor Darcy also attended that roundtable, and I really thought that was great.
Well, we had a great turnout.
Yeah.
There was a lot of folks came, and we included folks from the private schools as well. So Catholic Diocese was there with some of their principals from their school sites, because we all share the same concerns in the area. And so I thought it was a great conversation. Everybody was really engaged. I tried to get them, I thought there was plenty of talking. They loved when Mayor Darcy said, if you had a blank check, and they're like, sign me up, but I thought it went really, really well as far as feedback. And they appreciated being invited and asked and want to continue to be part of the conversation. So I thought it was really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really healthy that everybody was in the room, and a lot of the common concerns they have with the challenges of education now, the cost of education now, and how can we all work together. I thought being part of running a city was difficult, but I think it's equally the same in the school system. When we talk about the challenges of shrinking class sizes, it doesn't shrink the cost of running the school. It just makes it a little bit more expensive per student. Just hearing the conversation that it's about $18,500 a student, so each classroom is $450,000. I mean, I look at things in that respect, and there's a lot of challenges with special needs now, which is dictating even more investment in the children. So it was really interesting. But I think anytime you can get a collective group of minds that are in the same business together, it really did. It interacted well, and I learned a lot from it. And I was grateful that we all got together, and I think we should do that more often because we can all help each other along the way.
Well, and they really felt honored that you took the time to be there, Mayor. It really meant a lot to them that you were there the entire time to be able to hear and interact with them with that feedback. So superintendents love to get together and share because we all have common concerns. So I'd be happy to help reconvene that group at any point along the way as we need more information. I thought it went well. Nora, you were there.
Yep. It was, from the housing perspective, it's really good to hear how, when PUDs and other developments are proposed, why school districts may object to those kinds of products. And it can be instrumental to help address those concerns and pave the way to more and different types of housing.
So thanks for letting us do it. And I just had breakfast with our contact with the Catholic Diocese Monday, and she was, again, very thankful that they were included. And they love being able to be part of the conversation as a whole, as opposed to being looked at as separate. It's all good. Thanks.
It was good.
Is there a regular frequency that the superintendents meet?
In different pockets, we do, like those of us who all send our students to Joliet Township High School District, we get together once a month and share and network together. As an entire county, we get together once a quarter with the ROE superintendent. But as far as bringing together those that was the first time we brought together everybody who touched Joliet in that way. So it might be worth us doing that in a more frequent way because we do all have a lot of commonality as far as what we're struggling with.
Sure.
So,
Well, one topic you might consider, because in the past, the Will County Center for Economic Development has done meetings with the superintendents and all the county school district superintendents and their board members, if they wanted to attend, on economic development and tax abatement and things to make sure they understand,
all the intricacies.
we do one thing today, what does it mean 5 and 10 years out? Because sometimes it's not always readily known. So it could be a topic for your group, and
No, absolutely.
Doug isn't here, but Doug has done that, and I'm sure he would be happy to.
Oh, I'm sure you would. Yeah, that's a good
Participate.
idea. Appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, anything else on the topic area workshops or superintendent workshop? All right, moving on is community workshop number 2. Before I kind of bounce some, this to Leslie and I just want to draw your attention to, I do have a handout. This was provided by our consultant, sub-consultant Muse, so it's the Joliet Comprehensive Plan Workshop number 2. So this is just an overview of what you can expect at the upcoming workshop. So a couple things moving down. So we will do a virtual training. So, well, first of all, we would love for you to help us physically at the workshop, in addition to our communication strategy to getting people to the workshop. So I will be sending out, or I or Francisco will be sending out a calendar invite for our consultant will be for the virtual training that will occur on Tuesday, February 24th from 1 to 2 p.m. We will also be reaching out to you to schedule your time that you would self-select to help at the workshop with. So that'll be something that'll be forthcoming really soon. Yeah, Leslie, I don't know, do you want to walk through the workshop format with the group, or I mean, I can go through the handout too, but you always say such nice things.
Sure, happy to.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry I can't be with you all today. Happy to be a part of the meeting and walk you through our memo. So Jane, everyone has a copy of the Character Area Workshop 2 memo? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, they have that one too, yeah.
Fantastic, okay. So, I'm just gonna kind of orient you to the workshop based on that memo, kind of talk through what some of the exercises are going to be, the intent of the workshop, and the outcomes.
There's 2
So
memos.
so if you want to just, take a peek at the memo, I'm just starting from the top with the introduction. There's a few things that we really want to accomplish at this workshop. We've gone through vision, goals, and objectives with you all. The working groups, we collected some really, really great information. And now we want to focus on really beginning to develop some conceptual ideas about certain areas of the city. If you remember the existing conditions, we introduced this idea of a character area, that there are many areas of the city that have similar characteristics. And so when we think about land use, when we think about experience, when we think about how to accomplish the goals of the plan and resolve some of the challenges that have bubbled to the top in conversations that we've had with working groups, we thought that we would start with these areas that are replicable around the city or have similar elements or characteristics. So this workshop will level set by helping participants understand where we are in the process by sharing those goals and objectives. Then we will introduce those character areas. And there's 4 of them that we're going to be talking about through the course of this workshop. Participants will have an opportunity to help us identify areas of improvement. We'll talk about how to implement those goals and objectives. We also want to talk about community priorities. So this is building on conversations that already started for each one of the topic groups during those working group conversations over the last couple months. And lastly, we want to help participants understand how this is all going together, right? How each one of these parts that they're seeing create a citywide comprehensive plan. We're doing this it's an interactive exercise, and we're using little flags. So if you're following along on the worksheet, we are under character area feedback exercise. So I'll describe how that exercise is going to work, because this is really what's going to take up the bulk of the time at the workshop. Participants will come in, they will be welcomed similar to the last workshop. There will be swag, there will be food, they will be oriented to the stations at the workshop. We will have facilitators, both English and Spanish, available. And as participants walk in, they will first see the goals and objectives. So this is really making sure that everyone understands where we are in the process, and then they will move towards the stations for each of the 4 character areas. These will be giant boards, they're bed-sized sheets, 48 by 36, for each one of the 4 character areas. Those 4 character areas are Joliet Mall area, Ridge Road Corridor, Legacy East Side Industrial Area, and the South Chicago Street and McDonough Street Corridor. And there are maps in the back of this worksheet, so you can see the focus area, not the boundary of each one of these areas. We needed to do more than just kind of bubble the areas on the map because we want people to understand how the context of each one of these maps fits into the city as a whole. For each one of these areas, we're going to ask participants a series of questions, and each board will have that question big and bold right at the top. It is a vision and aspiration question, like what would you like to see in this area? Do you think that this area can have, more fill in the blank, housing, business, walkability, improved mobility, etc. And that will be sort of an overarching prompting question. Then, participants will be asked to take little flags with pictures and words on them that are program elements. Things like parks, things like business, things like different types of housing, and they will be asked to put those program elements on the map where they would like to see it. So in your memo, on page 2, there is an example of what that looks like after participants stick the flags on the map. To be able to create functional recommendations and a conceptual design for each one of these areas, each one of these character areas, we need to understand where programs should be. And so we are crowdsourcing that program, and then we will compare it against all the analysis that we've done, the goals that we've all agreed on, and we will come up with conceptual plans for each one of these 4 areas. If there are longer conversations, if we're missing program elements that participants really want to see, if there are long form comments that participants want us to capture, there is an opportunity for all of that to happen during the workshop. We'll also help people stick these pins into the maps and have conversations around, why do you want to see this? What does this mean to you? Again, reinforcing sort of the values and goals of the project and where we actually want to go. So if you're following along now, I'm on page 2, potential outcomes of the workshop. This is a really fun exercise we've tried with other communities because it really generates robust conversation around what happens when you take a goal and you decide how to implement it, and that's that program element. So people can really begin to connect, the words and the vision and the ideas to concrete place and how it can affect them as a resident of Joliet. So there's qualitative input, there's spatial input, and that will translate into the next phase of the project, which are our draft plan and key recommendations. This will turn into strategies for how each one of these character areas fits into the city, and it will allow us to dig a little bit deeper and help illustrate what some of those recommendations look like in different parts of the city. What this exercise does not do is, hopefully, it should not threaten residents with anything in their properties being taken away, with a land use changing and them not be able to operate their business. This should create opportunities. We're not saying a specific address that anything is going to happen to it. What we're saying is that this is a really interesting area of the city that is repeated or has similar elements to other areas of the city. And to create a set of functional recommendations for a comprehensive plan, we need to be able to develop those ideas. The city of Joliet is very large, and this comprehensive plan is only going for 18 to 24 months. So we don't have time to get into the details of designing every parcel of land in the entire city. But what we can do is give examples that are replicable, and illustrating some of those ideas will help you all, will help leadership, will help residents understand what it means when we put pen to paper, essentially. After this workshop, we will document all of the information that we've collected, and we will start drawing pictures, we will start making land use recommendations. You will see a draft plan outline where you see how these different pieces and parts of the process fit together. And you will see how opportunities for future investment in the city align with community priorities. This is just the first time that we'll be having conversations around program elements for the city, and also how goals align with strategy and implementation. We are not to prioritization yet. We haven't put dollars to any of this yet. This is just an idea of what it looks like. This is a part of the process to show what it looks like when you take the words and you put it in the actual landscape of the city of Joliet. One of the deliverables for this project that's really important is the future land use map. Going through this exercise will help us understand, crowdsource what communities' priorities are. So when we start making land use recommendations, changes to you all, we'll have a defensible strategy to be able to do that. And we'll have some fruitful conversation around if it is an appropriate response or not. Those priorities will then be translated into recommendations in the draft plan, and the how we do it will be in the implementation plan. So that's what we're thinking.
Okay, feedback, comments. Yes, Damon.
Jane, last month, we talked about the possibility of adding to that area, and I saw they were talking about 6 boards on the one sheet, but they said there'll be 4 boards. I know we talked a little bit briefly about that U.S. Steel area, but since that point, in my discussions with people, the low-hanging fruit seems to be the former St. Joe's area. Joliet had 2 hospitals. We're down to 1. That one is, I won't say it's on life support, but it is not the preferred hospital in the area. And we know that healthcare is 20 to 22% of the GDP in this country. To me, the turnaround at St. Joe's Hospital, or making that a medical campus, and maybe it's not just St. Joe's, maybe it's some of the other hospitals that have clinics there. Have we thought about that whole area as another?
Yeah, so we did think about that as another area, and that's something that we can continue to look at through this process. But these are the 4 areas that we have already moved forward with at this time. So we have mailers that are ready to hit people's mailboxes, which I can talk about in a little bit. So yeah, I mean, there are other sub areas of the city that rise kind of to a level of priority, and that would definitely be one of them, but that was not one of the character areas that was chosen at this time before.
So is character, that's right, I think is character housing, or is it economic development, or what, when we say character, what are we talking about?
Leslie, you're more eloquent with this. Would you like to?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's all the above. It's a way to capture all of those different topic areas in a place. So we wrestled with the terminology of what we wanted to call each one of the areas that we would be investigating further, that we would be studying further. We kicked around sub-area, we talked around focus area, we talked about that. And we decided on character area because it captures the spirit of place, 2, the experience of the place, and 3, there's a lot of both qualitative and quantitative aspects that go into what we mean when we say character area. We're defining a general focus area that we want to look at more closely. The boundaries around each one of these areas are fuzzy. We're not saying on one side of the street it is a part of the study and on the other side of the street it is not. What we're saying is that there are defining characteristics of each one of these places that we want to uncover and that we want to think about. If we're thinking about change and improvement, we need to first identify what those characteristics are. And then we need to decide what we want that to look like in the future. And so this exercise begins to get to what are those program elements that will help support the kind of places that we want to see in Joliet. And it also will help inform regulatory changes like land use. So if we need to change a land use to facilitate the kind of place that we want to be in, the kind of experience that we want to have, that's a part of this process also. So when we say character, it's a broad term that incorporates the analysis that we've done, quantitative and qualitative aspects of the process.
Damon, I think what you were also referring to is well, thank you, Leslie, is under this handout, it talks
Sure.
about the different kind of areas of the upcoming workshop. And so one of the areas is goals, talks about the different goals. So I think the number 6 you were referring to refers to the goal area board.
Yes,
Yeah.
So that's not the.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought these were both the same.
No,
Okay.
they're a little different. Yeah, the other handout with the maps and the pretty images are really diving into with Lamar Johnson Collaborative explaining the character areas. So this one is just more of a high-level overview of the different,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I probably said, and I'm not trying to dig down into details, but on one side it said 6 boards, and the other side it said 4 boards. That's all.
Yeah, so there are
There's four character areas and 6 total boards, because this memo also includes those goals and objective boards. So those are the other 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else have comments about what Leslie presented about the character areas and then the workshop format?
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
How, because I want to make sure I'm framing this correctly, and I don't entirely remember this off the top of my head. As we look at like the comprehensive project approach, is there another comp plan workshop for the public to attend, or is this it?
There's one more.
Okay.
Yep.
And then that last one, again, I'm just trying to frame this, that last one is going to be hey, here's the comp plan, here's the draft, we're collecting feedback. And the goal of this one is to really dive into these character areas to help collect direct feedback from residents in regards to what they would like to see on some characteristic areas, right?
Yes, and then to show the implementation of the goals and objectives in specific areas. And then as those specific areas, as Leslie noted, are replicable to other areas of the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we look at the like different stations that we're intending to have, especially with the we've been listening board and area, I just want to make sure that area is kind of set up to capture maybe any additional feedback that maybe doesn't directly fit into the character areas, but still provides residents hey, I missed the first workshop, I want to say whatever else that doesn't directly apply to these areas. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect.
We want to take people along with us for the ride, and so we thought it would be a good idea in an effort to remain transparent with this process, to share, even if you weren't able to attend, a working group, or you weren't able to attend the first workshop, that we want to take you along with us and bring you up to speed on what conversations happening. This is also not to say that if somebody wants to continue a conversation or they see something on one of those boards that they want to talk about, we're encouraging those types of conversations. What did we miss? Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Et cetera. So it's an opportunity to keep the dialogue open and to remain transparent through the course of this project.
Cool. And then I know, I feel like I now talk about this at every meeting. What level of online engagement are we going to be able to get? Because let's say it's, February 26th, and we have a huge blizzard and people aren't able to come, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my example. But,
Can you not say that, because I don't want that to happen.
Well, right, I understand, but I also think that or something else happens, or there's another major community event, right? I know we've done our best to make sure that we're scheduling around that, but how do we ensure that if something happens, or if I'm a resident that, I work Thursday nights and I want to make my voice heard, is it going to be the similar format as last workshop, where now I have to go to the, okay.
No, I mean, Leslie, you want to comment on?
Yeah, sure.
I know
So-
you're waiting for the city to respond to one of the proposals, but you can
Okay.
just in general, yeah.
Absolutely. So we took your comments to heart last time about the online interface that we had for the last workshop, and we have created a proposal that actually captures more robust input that more closely mirrors the format, content, and interactive capabilities of what's happening in the in-person workshop. So we're calling it Survey 2, but because we've already done one survey, but it is a parallel online process that would happen during workshop 2. So if you're unable to make it, if there's, God forbid, a blizzard, if, you want to participate, this is an online interface that allows you to answer similar questions in a similar way to those being presented in the workshop. So it has a more interactive interface. It does go through the 4 sub areas. There will be instructions, but it allows folks to not just look at pictures, but to answer questions and provide their input in a more interactive way. So that input would be captured, it would be integrated into our public workshop summary. So we wouldn't run it for as long as the initial survey, which I think we ran for 6 or 7 weeks. This may be just during the workshop, maybe a week after, something like that, and then we would close that because we do want to really capture the input and summarize it as a part of the workshop too.
Would it be available in more languages, or is it just going to be available in English?
Similar to our first survey, we would offer it in multiple languages.
And would we have access to go through the process as like a resident giving feedback? So then we could
Totally.
give feedback in case the user experience isn't that great?
Oh,
You mean do it like a
and you wanna
test?
Yeah, like a
it?
test run, yeah.
Oh, you try. Okay.
For the first workshop, how many attendees did we have? Approximately 200? Or
No,
100?
for the first community workshop was a little over 100, so we said 100 to 120.
Okay, and so what do we expect for the second one, and what would be a good turnout for us to be able to gather great data?
Well, I mean, I'd be disappointed if we had less than 100. I, as many of you know, set the bar pretty high for the first one, so I mean, I had wanted more people to come to that first workshop because we had really robust attendance that previous summer with the ETOD open house, where we had 125 people come, and then the IAD displays of our Bridge Community Plan. We had, I think, between 70 to 80 people come to that open house. So I think we are planning for over 100, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Leslie.
Yes.
But the room will be set up in a way to accommodate more. It is open house style, as Leslie was noting, so there won't be like an opening presentation where everyone has to sit and that. So I don't know if I fully answered your question, but before we close today, I'll review our communication and engagement strategy too. So I mean, we really want to rely on all of you to get the word out, to get people to that workshop.
If I could just add a couple things too.
Yeah.
Completely agree with Jane. For a comprehensive planning process, just to give you a little bit of sort of anecdotal summary from experience. Comprehensive plans are notoriously difficult for residents to understand. It's a citywide plan. Communication needs to be such that that residents understand how it impacts them personally. So the first workshop, having 100 people, I think was a great turnout because it's a relatively complex planning process. The aldermen are involved, the mayor is involved. We have all the right people messaging this in a way that should resonate with residents. For this workshop, we learned a bit from our previous experience with communication and outreach. And Jane and her team have been amazing at supporting more robust outreach and identifying groups that should be included in the process so that with a personal touch. The working groups is a way to capture the attention of more residents. Those residents have social networks that they talk to. If they're interested in participating in the process, they will come. So there's a bring a friend aspect. The other one is youth engagement. We've made a concerted effort to outreach to youth. Our engagement team has made contact with youth advocates to make sure that they can be a part of this the planning process. And then also specifically targeted mailers to folks that live in and around each one of these character areas so that they understand, like, this is an opportunity to completely change the face of the city in a way that fits your vision of what that can be. So in addition to all the other communication and outreach methods that we did last time, we do have an enhanced communication plan to make sure that we're doing everything we can to capture folks that, after that workshop, we also had feedback on, like, why didn't, asking people, why didn't you cover, what were the barriers? So trying to create a communications plan that overcomes some of those obstacles.
Jay?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was gonna suggest that you touched on the more targeted mailers. I think when we think about the first workshop, it was, like you said, it was a widespread, like, hey, come, what do you want for Joliet? So you don't really, I was expecting a lower attendance. When you see the ETLD, it was more like, what do you want to see right here in the downtown area? So people came because I want to tell you. When we look at our workshops, it's like, what do you think about this specific topic? So people came for that. Are we going to then send out, like, in the mall area, a specific mailer just about that area? Like, say, hey, come, what's your opinion about this mall area? And not,
Yes.
so it's not going to include everything else, right? Like, so it'll just be more.
So we have already prepared, and just note, in case I forget to tell you this, I will send you a link to a shared folder where you can see all the mailers that are gonna go out, and then, JPEGs or other files that you can use to also send out messaging for this upcoming workshop, and we'll have pre-crafted blurbs for you as well. So that'll be all in a shared folder. The mailers for each of the 4 sub areas are done. At this point in time, we're finalizing details with a printer to have them go out. So we took what this committee said at your January meeting, and we are sending, and this will be in the shared folder too, so you can get understanding of who's getting the mailer and who is not. But I'm just going to use the mall area as an example. So it will include not just who's in here, but it's going to include people who live this way. I mean, depending on the geographic area, it was like a half mile to a full mile out, depending on the geographic area. So each one has, it's not just what's in there, it's the surrounding neighborhoods are being specifically invited. So it's
they're receiving just the mall area topic, so to speak. Right?
Yeah, they're receiving a postcard that says just the mall. Well, but it doesn't.
It has everything else in it, but highlights the mall.
Yes. It says, come, workshop, we'll be looking at 4 character areas in the city, one of which is the Lewis Joliet Mall area. We want you to envision it as a, I'm just saying this off the top of my head, a vibrant, walkable, economic center, mixed use or something has in there, yeah.
I could see us getting a better turnout that way in a sense,
Yes.
because then people will now say, well, this is something that's happening in my backyard, it's I want to come work for it.
Yeah, so there'll be one for each of the 4 identified sub areas, and again, not just within that, but living near there,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Cool.
Damon,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Speaking of the mall area, is the mall owner attending? Are any
so
of their reps?
we've reached out to the mall, the management group, they are aware of the workshop, and we're still talking through that with them, yes.
I don't think there's any question, but the communication has to say, this impacts you. Because until something impacts me, I'm not going. And I think that's the strong message that's always been the case. If somebody has a program where you're going to watch a sporting event and you don't like that sport, you're not going. If it is a sport you like, you will go. Because you have to have something that grabs you and engages you. We're all engaged here. We're regularly engaged on many fronts. Most people in the community still have no idea the comprehensive plan is being worked on. And that's unfortunate, because we had a little discussion earlier about reading levels and how many books people read a year and things of that sort. And even on social media, you have to read it. And you have to feel it to say, it does impact me. And if that message isn't there, we'll have a lesser group than we would like to have. I mean, I think it'd be great if 1,000 people showed up, because that's something that shows they're engaged in who we are and what we're doing as a city. And I think we have to, dare I say, take the gloves on that communication and say, this impacts you. This impacts us. What are you willing to give up 2 hours to do this? I mean, so it needs to be really hard-hitting to get people to attend, because I've said on numerous occasions and in numerous meetings where I've presented this topic to various groups, in 3 years, please don't come and tell me what you wish had been put in the plan. You had your opportunity to provide the input. So now you have to live with it, so to speak. And until you challenge people, they're just going to go along their way and not pay attention. Till it impacts them, they're not going to be there. So it sounds like the message that you're talking about in the example you used on the mall, it will highlight that. Maybe make some of it bold, italicized, and underlined. But I mean, that's important. I mean,
Anything else that we should, yes?
Just one last question
Yeah.
about the mall owner, because we could talk as much as we want. We can bring all the neighborhood in to talk about it, but if the mall owner or the mall's representatives aren't part of the conversation, is our talk moot? Will it help influence? Has the mall expressed any interest in redevelopment? Like, I just look at the past. Jefferson Square Mall was pretty much dead 25 years ago. No one looked at it. I knew developers that said, we won't waste our time on that kind of redevelopment. We want greenfield sites. And I think of that. I think of that intersection. I think of the traffic that goes through on a daily basis. Has the owners talked to the city at all about future developments or potential future developments?
Well, we know that the Sears site was already in the papers, was 2 or 3 years ago, Mayor? I mean, so that, we know that has been of interest. There are multiple landowners, I think, as you were alluding to. So there's the mall, then there's the different anchor tenants. I'm Paulina Martinez, our economic development director, who could not be here today. She's been in discussion with the mall and then different owners. I can't speak to where, their level of interest. But from, regulatory standpoint, I mean, this whole area is zone B2. It's really not the best fit for this at this time. So, I mean, we are interested in just exploring options for the future, even from a regulatory standpoint, just to help facilitate development opportunities should they come.
Oh, and we've seen other developers come to some of the sessions, and they've been made aware of it through the same channels that everybody else has. So I don't know if anyone from the Louis Joliet Mall area has come to any sessions, because they might come and not identify themselves. And I know that we had, at the last couple of workshops that we had, there were representatives from a couple of larger, newer developments in the area, because they want to know what's going to impact them as they have their future planning for what they've already started, to see if that's going to change what they need to do or how they need to approach it. So, yeah, I think Paulina could probably make a phone call to them just to make sure that they know it's coming and invite them, and that's...
Yeah, she has, I know she has, yeah.
The mall owner is not very communicative. The mall owner has bought several distressed properties like this around the country. We think his money comes from foreign investors and they don't really care about the community they come into. And I've talked to their real estate representative, and he's just out to try and lease as much of their space. You know, Jane said there's some empty boxes that are not the mall property, the Sears property, the old Weebles, whatever it is. Those are not their property. So they really have just the main hallways and arteries of the mall. But every other city they've gone into, they have not been very user-friendly to the community. They just kind of take what they can get with it. So it is difficult. Like the guy that owns the Sears property, which is, I believe, 16 or 17 acres, when he bought that, he was told he could repurpose that like they did at Fox Valley into a market rate apartments. And somewhere along the line, the then leadership of the city switched on him. And now with the cost of construction and the cost of money, we've tried to revitalize that plan, but it's not penciling unless the rents are out of the market. So we've been caught in this little bit of a trap with cost of money, cost of construction on that one. But it's difficult because the mall owner doesn't really care about Joliet. And we've tried to break that shield to get to them, and we can only get to the real estate agents. And it's unfortunate. So it is going to be a little bit difficult to try and get, we could probably get the mall manager to the meeting, who probably doesn't have a whole lot of authority, but maybe he could get it back and filter it back to the owners.
I was out there yesterday, just driving around the mall, 10 in the morning. Mall does, I worked there 40-some years ago. Mall would open at 9 a.m., close pretty much at 9 at night. Now it's open at 7. We're open at 11, closes at 7. Not really ideal. I drove over to another retail mall at 10 a.m. in the morning, and to a buzz of activity. It's just, I look at that, it's just so much opportunity, if done right. That's why I think I'm glad you're looking at it, Jane. I think it has enormous opportunity with the right developer, and maybe that's the hindrance right now is the current owners, and
Yeah.
how do you push them?
It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
When we're trying to build another retail center at the same time, you know, you've got the Cullinan property trying to attract retail tenants. You've got the mall trying to be revitalized. You've got the what's the development? The
Costco.
Boulevard. Yeah,
Boulevard.
the Costco development that you guys split with Plainfield. Like, there's so many people trying to do retail development of a mall type development in such a small area. It's almost, you know, we've almost put ourselves, again, other administrations, put us in a trick bag of, like, you almost have to pick one and say, this is what we're gonna focus on. Trying to develop effectively like 3 mall developments at once is probably hindering us too, you know? Because how do you get that much retail to come in as retail continues to shrink? It just added to our challenges and hangups there.
When you look at brick and mortar retail these days also, and you take a look at the city's budget, there's a lot of money that comes into the general fund from people buying online, and now the laws have changed so that we're taxed based on the location in which we receive the goods. And we get, I forget what the number is, several $1 million a year in that new taxation system. So, you know, markets have shifted, housing needs have shifted, retail needs have shifted. And we would do all we can to try and force the market, but the market has to come to it. So it's kind of a conundrum a little bit, trying to figure out what to do with and repurpose the mall property completely. I wish we would have had moved forward with the 1,000 units of market rate apartment 6 years ago when he bought that. And unfortunately, he's come back to us and he wanted to put light industrial. You know, all the ideas are not conducive to what's going to ever span out. Someday that will come to fruition. And unfortunately, we've had leadership here that didn't agree that we should have market rate apartments. And I'm throwing that back at them because they blew a good deal when they blew that one off. I mean, it's revitalized that whole Fox Valley area, mall area, because you brought 1,300 people in there that were specific to that market. Now that's where that thing flourishes, but they blew the deal, and that's all I'm going to tell you.
And I saw Fox Valley, what they did.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's potential there.
There is.
Would it be a good idea to do like a meeting with the landowners, building owners, business owners specific? Maybe during the day or when their managers are available for this conversation?
Yeah.
Because I think that would be a way to get them. I don't see them taking time to come back for a community plan, especially if it's marketed as a community plan and they're not living in the community. But if we do a specific for businesses, I think that would entice them a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, to your point, this has to be a separate conversation. I don't see them coming to a community meeting either.
I think that also, to go back to really Leslie's original point, it helps drive home to business owners, to property owners in these character areas that this isn't taking of your land, this isn't forcing you to do something, that this is the community idea and community envisionment of your space. And I think that that helps nurture a continued relationship between the city and landowners in the area.
Something that's happened recently, and I think Pauline's not here, but we have received that we are a River's Edge tax credit city. And the really cool thing about that is that in a contiguous way, the mall area is now eligible for the River's Edge tax credit program. I mean, the way that thing was knitted together is really cool, and I wish we had it on the screen. We had a developer looking at one of our downtown properties that, you know, is a legacy property, and we want it repurposed. And the numbers wouldn't work for him, and the city couldn't throw money at him. But with the River's Edge tax credit, it'll make the deal happen. And I think we're going to start seeing more ability to revitalize some of the properties. And I don't know I'm not articulate on what the River's Edge tax credit does for someone. But this particular development or developer in a repurpose of property was about $1.6 million short on what their need was. And the River's Edge tax credit turned into about a $2.3 million bump for them. So the deal is doable now. And we have now gotten confirmation that we're River's Edge tax credit capable. So I think that as we look at this, and this is something that I want to understand, how can we use this tool to bring people in? We met with some residential developers yesterday because we really want to see that east side, the Briggs Street area. In that area, we've got a lot of blank canvas, and they said, well, you can't force the market, but how do we help force the market? What do we TIF it? What do we do to try and say, here's an incentive for you to come and bring, we know we need affordable workforce housing in particular. You meet with these developers bringing in these warehouses with 2,000 jobs, that's well and good, but why do they have to drive in from 20 miles away? So we really are looking at how do we entice development? How do we move the market? You know, like I said, well, they're building in Texas, they're building here, they're building there, but we have opportunities, we have jobs, we need to fill the void, and should have been filling the void when we were building all these warehouses. So I'm with you on that, and we need to find ways to incentivize people to come into our market and help us with private capital. So River's Edge, I think, is a good tool. Once we all understand that better, it's really going to help us motivate change. And that was a great tool that other cities have had it for 10 years, and it's really helped them.
So will that River Edge funding help any of these 4 areas that we've looked at? Will that kind of help,
It's everything but the Ridge Road corridor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how it laid out all the way to the mall property and way east. So there's a lot of opportunity for that to help us get investors.
Does it have anything to do with the proximity to the river? I'm not for sure I really understand the river's edge.
I wish Paulina was here. It's kind of like a root system.
It's a very select program the state of Illinois has available, but you have to be, state enabling legislation has to allow you to be in the program, and then we had to go through a process to be certified. So the certification's done at this point, so we are fully in. To your question, yes, I mean, it's only a few select cities in Illinois that have a river running through it.
Okay.
So that's the River's Edge. To qualify, you needed to prove that you had I think it's either 100 to 150 acres of environmentally challenged land alongside the river, which was the Des Plaines River. So there were some steps that, again, tied back to the river. and it had to do with the goals of the program, which is revitalization and redevelopment.
Is this a DCEO grant?
Yes, so it's a DCEO program.
And so I don't know how we kind of verbalize and educate the public when they're looking at these plans and they're at the workshop. But I think knowing that there's specified funding available, that might kind of change or sway the conversations that's had with these properties.
It's not funding that's available.
It's not funding?
It's just tax credits.
Tax credits.
Yeah,
Well,
it's tax credits
it's-
and tax abatements.
Yeah.
Tax credits for developers is still a great,
No, it's great. I just didn't want to like
No.
have people think like funding's available.
Yeah, it's not for residents or anything.
yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure Paulina has like a 2-pager that maybe we can provide the committee. I mean, it's something that we probably have sent out anyways to other groups, so we'll try to get that to you and explain the program.
Okay.
Any other comments about our communication channels for the upcoming workshop?
Will there be videos put
Yes.
out again?
We'll be doing 3 of them. Right, Jenny, listening? She's filming us. You'll also, I will be sending an email out that relinks you to our shared drive. I'll also let you know when we have those postcards available. So we'll have that as well. So if you go to a community meeting, you can pass those out. And speaking of meetings, again, we have 2, I don't have them up here, but you'll see them down in the council chamber, or excuse me, the lobby. There's those big banners. So you're welcome to check them out. We have a traveling set as well as the ones that are here, which are kept here. So we have another set you can take to a meeting if you want to have them up, and if you have a table. We're also able to set you up with a presentation. I know Jim's done one before. So we're able to help you with that if you want to help us get the word out at doing a mini presentation at a meeting. All right, anything else with this topic? Okay. What?
On to the next
Yeah.
item called staff reports.
Staff reports. I don't have any updates at this time on, well, I have one update with our ETOD zoning project. So we have officially kicked that off. We have met with our consultant that was procured through our Regional Transportation Authority, and you'll be updated more about that process in the next month or 2. Again, we're at the phase with the consultant where we're doing he's working on data gathering and looking at past plans and stuff. There will be a very small steering committee that will, with members from the previous steering committee that will be brought on to act as a sounding board for that project. Yeah, stay tuned. We're excited about it. And that's it for me for staff reports.
Any other comments from anyone that you haven't already served up? Now's the time to state them. Anyone? Hearing none. I will mention one thing. I will be doing a presentation to the Joliet City Center Partnership Board on Thursday morning. And then there is another event coming up on,
I believe it's not this Thursday, but the following. Yeah, the Community Expo event at Joliet West.
yes.
Yes.
And so we will be participating in that. Anybody that has an hour or 2 and wants to join me at that event, it'd be great. And
Actually, I think it's a Tuesday. It's either a Tuesday or a Thursday. I sent everyone an email about it, though.
I left my phone in the car,
Okay.
so I can't check. But any other organizations that any of you think of that we should communicate with as to what's going on with this planning effort? serve them up to Jane so that we can get them on the list and get one of you to perhaps do a presentation to them so that we keep them informed, because that communication has to take so many different forms and dynamics to get people engaged. And these little sessions sometimes help, because I know one person at one of the sessions that I did a presentation at then attended the next 3 evening workshops. So every little bit helps, so to speak. So if there's nothing else from anyone, any comments? Hearing none, call for a motion to adjourn. Go ahead, sir.
Or I wasn't sure if you're looking for a motion or you were calling for a motion.
Well, there was another section called public comment. Since no one is here, I don't believe there is any public comment. And I would call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is made. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. And Jane, you want to take the roll on that? Or are we okay with it?
All in favor? Okay, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.